What up, guys? Today I wanted to do another one of my schizo rants. I do enjoy doing these when there is a mini game out, so if there's nothing happening interesting visually, then I can just like pre-record me doing runs and then put them on the screen. Anywho, today I wanted to discuss a bit about the treasure system in this game. Now, first things first, if you're not aware, the treasure system in this game takes basically the same role as the doll system. So, for example, let's take Bae for example. You have a unit here, and here is her doll. I don't have a doll on her, but I could put one on her, and then once I max this doll out, I'll be able to get this. And for this, she's going to need to be level 30 on your Vise, so that's going to be 3 copies in total. You're going to have to pull her once, and then have 2 dupes. And then you're going to want to give her a set of overload gear. And once you hit the max doll level, then you can turn that into this favorite item. Now, getting this favorite item leveled up all the way is very expensive. I'm going to go over a bit of that later and I guess bitch about it, but for right now, like for example, Tove, I did the new game mode or whatever, like the Solaroid Museum, and basically all of the currency I got from there, I try to convert it into this, which in case you don't know, when you get somebody's favorite item max, for example, it doesn't take that item out of the pool. You can still get them. Oops, that's the wrong one. Here we go. And you can convert the material of someone you already have max into any others of choice. The only problem is the conversion is 5-to-1, so can I do this here? Okay, let's see. For example, let's say I want to convert... Where's Tove's? Is it this one? Yeah, here we go. It's Tove's. You see how this says 5 because this one is Helms? No, this one's Lapis, this one's Helms, and this one's Drake's item material. So if I want to, I can... Oh, I only have 13. Let's do like 10. So I can use 10 material, and it'll give me 2 of Tove's material, and I need 110 total. I don't remember the exact amount. You know what, let me quickly double check. I should have checked this beforehand. Alright, so to phase 1 to 2, you need 50 of the item, and then to phase 2 to 3, you need 110. There you go. So you need 160 in total. So realistically, you know, multiply 160 by 5, and that's how much it would take to convert over. Now, I don't think the conversion rate is the biggest deal towards the end of like the journey, if that makes sense. So I think for me, definitely down the line, I probably will have a lot of these stacked up for the 5-to-1 ratio to not be that big of a deal. The problem is, for me right now where I'm playing catch up, it does feel really bad. And also for newer players, like trying to get all of these done is like some monumental task. Now, they did introduce a new mechanic that I'll just go over in a second. Let me just finish explaining the treasure system first, that I think will help, but it's still early to see how they're going to handle that. But anywho, yeah, once you get the treasure up by getting 3 copies in total, getting the max advised level, so level 30, and getting the full overload gear set, you'll be able to upgrade to the favorite item, and the favorite item itself basically just upgrades their skills. So for example, Tove, her, I guess I can show it better here. Yeah, right here, I believe. So honestly, Tove, for example, wasn't really changed too vastly compared to like, I don't know, Helm, for example. Because like, essentially Tove was just this RNG mechanic where she buffs her shotguns. It was a 4% chance of proccing every time she attacked, and now it's after 15 it's guaranteed. So essentially they took out the RNG to this. They changed the warding to these. I imagine it's so that units that swap weapons, for example, let's say they start with an assault rifle, then they swap to a shotgun. I imagine this will make it so that those characters can take advantage of this. But other than that, like, they changed the amount of time it lasts from 10 to 15, and other than that, like, nothing else. Like, this was also changed a tad bit percentage wise, like the crate went up a little bit, but overall this was like a very minuscule type change. But very interesting scenario we got for Tove. Anywho, the new mechanic that they introduced, I guess it's not a new mechanic, it's a new game type, game mode, whatever you want to call it. it is this solo raid museum. And how this works is the past solo raids, for example, these are the first 3 solo raids when the game first started. If you do them, there are some quests, I guess it's missions, for you to do. So for the maxed, I believe it's you just have to beat the score of the dude who got first place when it originally came out. I believe it was this one? 1.773, I think. This was the first places. I guess I can check right here. Yeah, this guy got first place when this came out. Yeah, oh my goodness. May 10th, 2023 was when it came out. Anywho, this was this guy's score, so if you beat it, you'll be able to get all these rewards, and this is pretty nice. Along with the regular maintenance kits and stuff like that you can use to upgrade the dolls, you get these. So these are specific boxes for the favorite items, and the cool thing about this is you can actually pick and choose whichever you want. So for example, if I wanted 40 of Lapis, I can just only grab 40 of hers instead of it like gambling like it usually is. Now, unfortunately, these are only for the first 2 seasons, so it's for the treasure units that aren't the best, but I imagine later down the line they're going to put the newer seasons of favorite items into this pool. They haven't added any new bosses on here, so it is interesting on how they're going to handle it. I would say that they should probably just like put one boss in here every like big celebration, or maybe put them out in waves, just so that it's like extra content for them to do. I don't know how hard it is to implement bosses for here. Maybe it's harder than I think, so maybe it won't be that easy, but it's just extra content that I would say would be pretty good during certain events. Anywho, so there is that. Let me swap tabs because it's time for me to do some complaining, I guess. Now, unfortunately, the truth of the matter is a lot of these treasures are basically just there to get that like cool and cute scene at the beginning when you actually do the treasure and you go about it, because essentially most of all these are just you fixing whatever nice item it is. So for example, Helms, what was it, her watch? The whole story was like fixing the watch, and like you go around doing that. Toves is you were fixing her Spire Starter. Lapis, you were fixing her like DVD hero thing. Drake, you were fixing her figure. And I mean, a lot of these I imagine just either you're fixing your stuff or you're like helping them get a new stuff. Anywho, the problem is I feel like the main issue is when the units originally came out, depending on their kit, I feel like that will determine how good their treasure is. There is one exception though, and that is Helm. When I'm going to be shit talking on all of these, by the way, take it with a grain of salt. I haven't used a lot of these treasures because I'm so far behind and getting them all up, because it takes a really long time to get all the items I need to upgrade the treasure, along with, I need 3 copies of all these units. I'm missing one for like Bay, I'm missing one for Milk. You saw it a little bit over there. The only ones I have finished are Helm, Lapis, Tove, and Drake's. So admittedly I haven't used a lot of them, which by the way, and if you want me to go into like showcase on specific units, I might do it. I already did kind of Helms in like the best team in the game video. I just did that because I got Helms treasure and I was like, I want to use her in a video, so that's why I did that. But I guess I can go back and do a thing for her. But the only ones I really have ready are Lapis and Drake. I'm really close to Tove. I definitely want to do Tove's once I get her, but let me know if you want to see some of these. These are like not going to be as interesting, I don't think. Like Bay is pretty good for PvP apparently. I'm not the biggest PvP guy, so I kind of just have to trust what these guys say about her strengths in PvP. But like some of these units I feel like aren't going to be that useful. Even Viper, I feel like Viper, they're telling me that she's good, really good for the raids and stuff. However, when there was a Water Week raid, for example, I think the Kraken was, I don't remember seeing people use her a lot, I think. It was a little bit ago, and I don't remember too clearly, but like for example this, I don't really think people were using her anyways. And also, like, if you're gonna invest on some of these, it's gonna take a lot of resources, and I feel like you're just better off leaving these towards the end of you leveling up your account, I guess, because I don't know, I would just put way other units before even getting these, especially since it takes a long time and a lot of resources. Other than Drake's has the mission pass going on, I'm pretty sure. Granted, I feel like a lot of people have that done by now, but if you haven't had a chance to completely finish that, the rewards in there are very substantial. So having done all that, you basically get Drake's treasure for free, I believe. So it's definitely not the worst in Drake's case, but everyone else, it takes like a really long time to get. And for a lot of these, I feel like their power is just not there. If anything, it's just not worth the trouble. It's just good to get her max and then just do the story and be like, hey, okay, well, I'm done here. All that into consideration, Helm is pretty much the oddball out. I don't know how strong Helm was before she got her treasure. I was looking at on Pridwin, right? This was saying Helm, I guess it was comparing her to the meta right now, like before she got her treasure, but she was pretty bad, allegedly, before she got her treasure, and then her treasure just went sicko mode, and she just instantly became one of the best easily. I wonder if Shift Up is a bit keen on trying to make that not happen again, but I don't know. The problem with these treasures, I think, is the idea of making an old unit really good and like, oh, look at this, an old unit that you really like let's say it was your favorite girl, for example, like Helm. If Helm's your favorite girl, I feel like her getting a treasure is huge, right? You have to use your favorite girl more consistently because she's actually really, really good, yeah? So it turns into this case where I want the treasures to be pretty good just for like the fans of that to be able to use a nice unit of their favorite character without it being an alt. I feel like this game has a chance of making everybody's favorite character shine with like alternate costumes. For example, the bunny event, we got the bunny Aid and the bunny Milk. If Milk's your favorite character, those units are pretty good. If Aid's your favorite character, then that's pretty good for you because both those units are pretty good and you're probably going to get a lot of value out of that. So you have the alt where you could take that into consideration, but you also have the treasure, which, I don't know, I feel like it's a very weird spot. This video is also just to see what you guys feel like about the treasure system and what can be improved. I do think these guys like responding to feedback, and the last survey that they did, they clearly made a distinction for co-op raids. They were taking suggestions for co-op raids, so I imagine they'd be willing to take some suggestions on the treasure system. Now, all this into consideration, the reason I'm a bit finicky on the treasure system, I have said this before, but I used to play Dokkan. I guess I still do sparingly, but it's a bit on and off, I guess. But in Dokkan, there's a system kind of like this. It's called Easy A's, and honestly, some of the Easy A's in that game are as cool as the new units coming out. For example, like a big anniversary unit getting their Easy A is really cool and exciting because it's a unit that a lot of people have, a lot of people like vividly enjoy when they first came out, and like they were summoning and using them for the first time, and it's like, oh my god, look how good they are, even though they aged out like because of time and power creep. Yeah, in that game, I don't think power creep is as bad as this game, so it's kind of like comparing apples to oranges, but the concept is still there. But anyways, getting a chance to use like an old unit that you remember vividly and having them be good, I think it would be pretty nice for this game. And in that game, that was pretty hype when like an anniversary unit got easy and I was like, oh, look how cool he is. I think this game could at least get some value out of making them somewhat that. But unfortunately, the case is a lot of these are very, if not situational, like just straight up bad. Like, unfortunately, Polly, I haven't used her, but like, I don't know, on the tier list it says she's bad. On the other tier list it says she's bad, so like, it's kind of weird. I guess this is also with the other video I made where the average units that released aren't like limited or collabs are always like kind of hit or miss. Like, for example, Sora is pretty useless. She's got like a 40-second cooldown for her burst on her burst 1, which you'd be like, okay, maybe some value in PvP, but then her skill 2 is talking about like, oh, part damage, which, you know, there's no parts in PvP, so it creates the situation where I feel like I'm not going to get any value out of someone like Sora except eye candy, which I'm not complaining about that, to be completely honest, but it is a bit interesting. Now, I do think the fixes that could be, I'll talk about some fixes now. For the item problem that takes way too long to get a lot of these girls up, I definitely think the solo raid museum is a really good place to start. Having the option to choose whichever material you want for their favorite item is really nice. Unfortunately, it's still a bit early to see if they're going to regularly update that with new bosses and then new like favorite item boxes where you can choose which one you want, but I think they have a good thing going with that. Now, the power rise, honestly, I'm not too sure how they could fix that, because unlike Helm, I feel like Helm's kit did make a huge 180 because they did add the first generation, the healing was pretty crazy, and then overall they just buffed her stats a bit, so she does a pretty decent amount of damage if you want to main burst with her. But even if you don't want to main burst with her, you can just stick her on a team. For example, like if the boss doesn't have a core, you can stick Helm on the team to get the help from the burst generation, and then in case you get your ass blasted, you can save her burst so that you can heal up your whole entire team and be pretty nice with that. So Helm is definitely the oddball out compared to a lot of these other units and their treasures, because like for example Bay's whole shtick is, what was it, she shares the damage taken, which is why she's pretty good in PvP. Yeah, what was this called? It is, I guess she does repair cover too, but it's the proportionally shares damage taken continuously. That one is pretty good for PvP. The only thing though is, for example, if they have that to work off from a favorite item standpoint, I wonder if it's just like doomed anyways. If their kit's kind of like wonky already from the get-go, then their favorite item is gonna be a bit wonky as well, you know what I mean? So it is a bit interesting to see how they're going to go forward with this. Now, I feel like this does, like I said before, take into part the whole, oh, the average unit kind of sucks, which, I mean, it doesn't really matter too much for the average unit, because then it makes them the easy skip. And also, like, the wishlist mechanic is in the game, so I don't think power creep / missing out on units / I don't know, any other thing in general is that big of a deal. But I feel like for treasure, for the amount of work you go through to get a lot of this stuff, especially if you're playing catch-up like me, or if you're a new player, God forbid, that you have to climb this insurmountable wall of units and items and dupes and all the other stuff, I think it might be a bit grief. But I don't know, maybe they could do another villain mission casting, but for somebody else. They did that for Drake, and that gave a lot of rewards, so I definitely don't want to bash them on like some of the mechanics. I definitely think they're going in the right direction, and they are willing to take feedback, so I definitely don't think I'm being that critical. It's just, sometimes it's a bit weird. Maybe I'm just butthurt because the new wave of units was Tove, Bay, Poli, and Julia, and honestly, Tove was already pretty decent. It's just her team was a bit situational, because she's basically as good as how shotgun units are, and at the time, like right before she got her treasure, shotgun units were pretty bad, so it is a bit grief. But even still, they didn't really do much for her kit-wise. Not a lot of stuff was changed other than they take out the RNG effect. Meanwhile, I feel like Bay, Poli, and Julia were kind of just like given nothing. But whatever. Maybe they just don't want to do what they did with Helm, but I don't know. I'm just hoping that we get a Marciana treasure, and she's actually good. I can actually use the gotcha skin. Come on, man. Hopefully they make Marciana treasures pretty good. Please! All for the Marciana fans. We never get anything for Marciana. We got one gotcha skin, and then they were like, alright, see you guys later. But, oh well. I think that is everything. I went over what? The treasure, how they can potentially fix the item issue, potentially how they can fix how good they are, I guess, and all the other stuff. But I think that is everything. Honestly, a lot of this, like I said before, was just to see your guys' thoughts on the treasure system. If you think it's good and it could stay the way it is, or if you think it's really good mechanic and it could just use a little bit of tweaking, or I don't know, maybe if you don't like the treasure mechanic at all and you think it's kind of like a waste of time and material. But nevertheless, I am curious to see what your guys' thoughts on it. I definitely do think the treasure in and of itself, it's a good idea as a mechanic. It's just maybe put some more care into making some of these units, because I feel like if I was a really big like Poli fan or something, and she was like pretty mid. I'd be kind of pissed off, but I mean, I don't know. The animations that they do when you do the favorite item and like the story kind of event thingy is also pretty cool. So honestly, just for that alone, I would say the treasure mechanic is useful. But I think that is it for this yappage. Oh, before I leave, actually, I might have to go out of town for some work. So unfortunately, the start of next week, I think I might pre-record some filler episodes. That might be a bit boring, but just bear with me. After I come back, I believe I should be done by like Thursday. So I'll try to get the solo raid then, and then like some other stuff that I gotta do. I guess the story, and then I want to finish some runs on the mini game because the items, all of them are going to be out and whatnot. But stay tuned for that. Hopefully I don't miss a day. I definitely want to keep my daily upload because I think it's fun, and also keep you guys not bored. Unfortunately, I think I'm going to do like a Bond story thing that might be a bit old. Maybe I'll do one of the old bunny units. I didn't pull for the new bunny units because I think I can just wishlist them. I'll do their Bond story like when I get them. I don't think it should be too bad. I'll use all my ordinary recruits the next time I summon, and I think we should be good. I've been hoarding a lot, so I am very confident I won't get shafted with my ordinary recruit wishlist summons. I mean, I did just get Yunhua on a single after G just got put into the wish list, so I am very confident right now. Anywho, I think that is it. Let me know what you guys think about all this stuff with the treasure, and I will catch you guys later.